When I was a kid, I loved dinosaurs, and of all the paleo-media that I consumed, my absolute favorite was Prehistoric Park, a 2006 BBC docudrama series that followed a fictional team using time travel to rescue extinct animals from the past and house them in a modern wildlife park. In a really cool way, it blended a documentary-style presentation with speculative science fiction. And while rewatching the series for the billionth time as a child, my dad said something to the effect of, "You know, there's a Disney ride that's just like this." I remember being so ungodly excited, and when we finally went down to Animal Kingdom, I got a chance to ride what I could only describe as the most horrifying experience of my entire life. This is Dinosaur, a ride that was, in fact, not based on Prehistoric Park, but rather the 2000 film of the same name. As a little 5-year-old kid, this was one of the scariest rides I had ever been on at that point in my life. I still vividly remember to this day seeing the Carnotaurus come out right at the ride vehicle and just breaking down crying. I put my hands over my face so that I didn't have to look at it. That's how terrified I was.
I don't like the left puppet. His chin is scary.
As a consolation prize, my dad bought me this weird rubber dinosaur toy from the gift shop that I still have to this day. Apparently these things go for a lot right now on eBay, so maybe I should consider selling it. It might be worth it to kind of trade off some childhood trauma for like $75. Anyways, despite having returned to Disney multiple times since that moment, it wouldn't be until around 12 years after that when I finally rode it for the last time. This was in 2019. My brother and I knew that this would be the last time we'd be going to Disney, since I was getting ready to go to college and he would eventually join the Navy. In a way, we were celebrating the end of our childhood and the beginning of our new adult lives. So we were hard set on riding every attraction that we either hadn't ridden in years or at all. I got a chance to ride Tower of Terror and Exhibition Everest for the very first time. Most memorably of all, though, I passed out on the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster. However, I ended up riding Dinosaur again, and it was just as horrifying as I remember it being. Look, I don't know what it is with this ride, but there's something so uncanny and unsettling about it. I know this has a lot of fans. Like, there are people that are like ride or die for this, no pun intended. But I'm horrified of this thing. I can't even describe it. I feel like I'm the only one, too. There are some people out there that are like,
yeah, you know, it's scary. It has, you know, some freaky moments.
But like, it just has this unsettling aura to me that I just can't describe.
Leave the man's aura alone.
It's an epic aura.
So I want to sort of speak from my own childhood experience and try to memorialize it in this video form. Obviously, this will not be a hardline objective documentary about the ride. If you want that, there are a million videos on YouTube by far more competent content creators. That's not me. I just want to have a fun look at a ride that traumatized me as a child. Before we get into the summary part, I just want to say that in the description of this video, I will have all the sources linked, including their channels, the video title, so that you can go and show them support. It's all up on YouTube, and at this point, that's really the only way to get footage of this ride. So, shout out to all those channels, they are in the description. You walk toward Dinosaur, and the building already tells you what kind of ride this is. The setup screams late 90s with a Jurassic Park adjacent edutainment vibe from an era when theme parks trusted kids with fear, but also, you know, you come here, you're gonna learn something. Walking through it now feels like wandering a closed wing of a science center that never got renovated. If the line is long, it snakes outside first, which, by the way, very recently, you know, with the last couple days of this ride existing, the lines for this thing have been insane. Like, they were outside of Dino Land, which is just bonkers to consider. They were well over 2 hours for the wait time. It's crazy. But once you do get inside, the queue fully commits to the museum angle. Fossils in glass cases, diagrams, panels about extinction and evolution. It's admittedly dry on purpose, but in a way, I think it works really well in just building credibility, especially before that rug is pulled out from underneath you. There's also this massive skeleton that dominates the space. It's surrounded by murals, fossil impressions, and fake research windows. You're meant to feel dwarfed by deep time. You're herded into the pre-show and told to stand. Dr. Helen Marsh appears and introduces the time rover like this is a routine educational tour. But then the feed cuts to Dr. Grant Seeker, and the energy spikes. He talks fast, he skips safety. He planted a tracker on an iguanodon during an unauthorized jump and wants you to retrieve it from the very end of the Cretaceous period, right before the asteroid hits. Marsh cuts back in and shuts it down, reminding him that the system is locked to the early Cretaceous period, where it's safer. She leaves, Seeker waits a beat, and unlocks the late Cretaceous anyways. The doors open, you're moving before you can process it, and you board the time rover. It feels very heavy before it even rolls, and what's cool is it's not even on a track, you're just straight up in a vehicle. At the checkpoint, alarms blare as the system flags your destination as unauthorized, but Seeker overrides it like it's nothing. You drop into the time tunnel and the lights cut. Suddenly, you're in the jungle. Dinosaurs flash in and out as you push forward. The place feels hostile, apocalyptic, like humans just don't belong here. Seeker picks up the signal and the rover starts driving hard. Turns sharpen, the ride gets rough, and the scanner locks into a large target, and you stop, expecting to see an iguanodon, but it's a Carnotaurus.
Stop! Identify!
Carnotaurus.
Definitely not our dino. Go, go, go!
The rover jerks backward and bolts. Another scan, another massive body, but still wrong. Seeker calls out the asteroid timing, and everything tightens. A pterosaur dives and the rover drops to avoid it, then drops again and loses traction. The Carnotaurus charges back into view, closer than before. Seeker guns it, and you barely escape as fire streaks overhead and debris crashes down. The scanner finally locks onto the right target. An iguanodon appears and physically braces a falling tree to save the rover. It plays as heroic without turning sentimental or Disneyified. A net drops over it via projection, and Seeker cheers. The sky flashes white, but the Carnotaurus lunges one last time. The vehicle snaps back through time mid-attack. You slam into the Institute. Seeker celebrates. You're escorted out. Go to the gift shop. The ride's over. Buy a bunch of merch that you don't need. Thank you for your money. Dinosaur is by far one of the scariest dinosaur rides ever built. One of. I know there's that one really cursed one. I don't even know where it is, but it's somewhere in America, I'm pretty sure. And it's like rotting, and you couldn't put me on that. That would actually be torture for me. I would be so horrified, I think I'd probably shit myself. Hot take though, I think Dinosaur, the Disney ride, clears Universal's Jurassic Park River Adventure without breaking a sweat. I know, that's heresy, but hear me out. This ride feels apocalyptic. You spend most of it in near total darkness while getting slammed around while alarms blare, and everything feels like it's going wrong at once. There's no, like, we're gonna go through the park and it's gonna be kind of peaceful and then chaos happens. Instead, it's just, you're thrown into it. It's a thrill ride right off the bat. It's more of a horror ride, which, depending on your taste, you can go either way. But for me, I'm a horror guy. I like that more. The imagery does a lot of the heavy lifting. Seeing one dinosaur just eating another is so upsetting in a way that Disney usually tries its best to avoid. You barely get any time to process anything too, because the vehicle is just moving so fast. The velocity causes your brain to fill in the gaps because the ride just never lets anything linger. And honestly, I think that's scarier than just staring at a fully lit animatronic for 10 seconds as you move around this sort of like very slow river ride. And that's not me dissing the Jurassic Park ride. I'm just saying, in terms of horror aesthetics only, I think Dinosaur does it way better. The funniest part is though, this is a really simple ride. The vehicle does all the work. You see, these things are manufactured to have every jolt, swerve, and panic spike come solely from the motion base of the ride. If you watch videos of the ride with the lights on, the illusion collapses very fast, and weirdly enough, you notice that there's no visible track. Instead, the entire ride is just a big empty room. The horror completely evaporates, leaving behind the general weirdness of animatronics standing awkwardly in the dark. Still cool, but not at all terrifying. Like the vast majority of Disney attractions, the ride only works when everything conspires against you at once. Epcot somehow doubled down on this with Ellen's Energy Adventure, which also managed to freak me out as a kid in a completely different way. I know, it makes no sense. It's the Ellen DeGeneres ride where she talks about how great oil is, but like, it's literally propaganda. But there's this section where It's not just Ellen on a screen with Bill Nye talking about how great oil is and how that's what we should be using and whatever. There's this weird like middle section of the ride where you go through this oppressive and like terrifying part where it's the land of the dinosaurs and everything is just creepy as shit. The animatronics feel so off, and the space feels borderline liminal because the ride vehicle is just so big that you have to have this like large stretch where it's just you in the ride and you're just kind of seeing nothing. You're just seeing empty caves and like maybe a snail. It's just such a slow ride. You're moving at like 2 miles an hour, and you really start realizing how trapped you are here. Not to mention, the Ellen animatronic is downright terrifying too.
Is this real?
Someone should make a Five Nights at Ellen's. You know what? Actually, that might not. I think the real Ellen is scarier than any Five Nights at Freddy's fan game.
Oh, I love my job. And Allison hates hers.
Getting back to Dinosaur, you know, a ride that's actually good and worth talking about, I'm making this video for a reason. I'm not a theme park channel. I have no interest in Disney beyond, like, really this one, because all my other favorite rides are gone. As of today, February 2nd, 2026, we are living in a post-dinosaur world. The ride and the surrounding dino land as a whole are planned to be demolished so they can rework it into an Indiana Jones ride. Does this suck? Yes. Trust me, my entire Twitter feed right now is made up of hardcore fans mourning this ride's demise like their grandma died. I'm honestly not devastated that it's going away though. Disney clearly stopped taking care of it, and rides like this don't age gracefully without maintenance. Everything ends eventually. I probably feel fine about it because I already went through this with the Great Movie Ride and Maelstrom going the way of the dinosaurs, but still, Dinosaur feels like the last echo of an era where Disney rides wanted to scare you and they never tried to apologize for it. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what the future holds, but it's kind of sad how the Disney parks have lost their identity over time. The once educational and worldly Epcot is now home to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which sort of fits the sci-fi theme of Mission Space and Spaceship Earth, but it still feels a bit out of place in my opinion. Meanwhile, Animal Kingdom, a park that was originally supposed to be fairly grounded in reality with the exception of a Yeti ride and the scrapped Beastly Kingdom, now features the world of Pandora from the Avatar movies. Look, I get it. This is literally the definition of first world problems. I'm not a Disney adult. I haven't visited the park since I was a teenager, but still, the whole thing is very odd. But I find the world of theme parks to be really fascinating regardless. And with all that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick, you're watching Firewood Media. This is sort of a one-off video. I'm not really someone who talks a lot about theme park attractions here, but I made a retrospective video praising the original Jurassic Park film. I'll have a link to that here on the end screen. Consider supporting the channel to become a channel member. For $1.99 a month, you can see select videos early before they're released to the public, as well as getting members-only videos like my review of Godzilla Minus One. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.